Well, good afternoon, folks. How we all doing? I'm having an afternoon of herbs, so I thought what I would do this afternoon with you is I did my morning stuff, got that all out of the way, ran around all over the place this morning and got it all done. And the first one that I started with is this one, the basil. And there's a couple of shorts on that as well. I started out with a few shorts. I think it's numbered 1 to 3. And then I did a thyme, so that's another video. And I'm just going to do an afternoon of herbs. That's what I feel like doing, so that's what we're going to do. And I've also fixed my camera in a different stance, so I'm hoping that it will be a little bit better to view as I'm painting. So what I started out here with was, this is called dill. And all it is I made this and my camera shut off for some reason. I'm really not sure what happened. So we're going to hopefully hope this will continue. And we know that dill is just these, shoots of these hairy things. That's all it is, right? It's just these long stems, and then off from the stems is these hairs, and they are the flavorful part of the plant. I don't know what they're called. I don't know if they're called the flowers of the herb. I think that is what it is, actually. I was thinking petals, and that I knew that wasn't right. So I believe it's the flower part of the herb. So there we have dill. Okay. The second one on this page, my eyes are giving me trouble this afternoon. I have trouble with my eyes anyway, but they were doing fine. I think it could be they're getting tired this afternoon. So the next one we're going to do is called bay. So bay leaf. I need a little more brown. And this is just a wiggly stem. And then it has the little shoot offs, right? One little leaf on the end, and then it has some like this. And then all through everywhere we've got the little stems of the leaves that will go on. So this stem, excuse me. This stem has a bit more brown than the other ones I've been doing. It's darker with brown. So I'm using a round brush. And by the way, I hope you're all having an absolutely lovely afternoon. I always plan to say that at the beginning of my videos, but sometimes my brain goes in a different direction. So I do hope you're all having a wonderful day. So we've got some dark green and some light green going on here. And they're a pretty leaf, actually, I think. Bay leaves. So we're just gonna take the point of this, and I'm just gonna draw that whole thing right in there. I don't need to draw it ahead of time. And we're just gonna draw a bunch of them in. Pretty leaves. Just using the tip of my brush. I do not have wet paper. I have a wet brush to a degree. And I have, the paints are a bit wet because, of course, I sprayed them. And I say that, of course, but somebody that, doesn't watercolor, and they're just learning how to watercolor, they don't know that. So the thing is yes, we have to spray usually the paints, most likely, in the palette, because they will kind of have dried up a bit overnight or whatever. So you have to, what is called waking them up. So we wake them up a bit. Now I'm adding in some darker in some areas here, just for the distinction, because they do have areas that are darker and lighter. And I'm just using the tip of my brush and moving this paint, wiping it off here and there. and moving it around to make that nice tip at the top like this. Comes out so pretty. And adding some yellows into this green as well. And making a lighter one, like start out with a lighter, then we will go to the darker and add that in certain places. Boy, I'm tongue-tied this afternoon. How about you guys? You have tongue-tied afternoons? Oh boy. That's just the way it goes and we'll all survive. Okay, so we're gonna just put, now I'd like to show you something here. I didn't get the water off of this barrel. Do you see that? I don't know if you can see that water on there, but that water, when I have this brush turned this way, is gonna fall down, and when I'm doing a painting, it's gonna fall right into my painting and make what I don't want. So I'm gonna wipe that off. I didn't, sometimes we don't notice that when that happens, and that's exactly what will happen. Sometimes we dab our brush into the water a little too hard, a little too far, and it actually gets too much water on the actual barrel part, which we don't need that, all wet, obviously. So these are just these pretty leaves, bay leaves, and boy, don't they make yummy soups. Although there's a lot of things I don't do anymore that I used to do. I don't think I've used a bay leaf in my soup I use a lot of other things, but I don't think I've done a bay leaf for a very, very long time. And my soups are absolutely delicious. I was given an Instapot, one of my children, for Mother's Day or Christmas or something once. Well, I'm telling you, that thing makes the best soups. I use it every time. I just made one this morning. I made one yesterday. It just makes awesome soups. Once you find something that makes awesome soups, I like soups. I'm a soup eater, but not all the time. I have my moments when I want the soup. Now, what I'm doing here, getting some paint, and I want to distinguish the side of this petal from this petal, because I got water in there and it took it away. So I'm going to take some out, and I'm trying to add more darker paint. There we go. And you see how that makes that one stand out. Now I'm going to go to some yellow, running out of yellow. And I'm going to add that in too, because there's yellow in these. And that's how we make these pretty little bay leaves. They have this nice pointed, some of the leaves are pretty fat, and some of them are not. So again, with the tip of my brush and a bit of the belly of my brush, I'm moving this paint around, and on one side, I want to get a little darker, so I got some darker paint, and I'm adding it in. If this was all wet, okay, the paper, the paints, the brush, everything, this would just be all blending and moving around, as you've seen in my other tutorials or somebody else's tutorials using wet on wet. This is wet on dry. Oh, that one came out pretty. Then with just a wet brush, take the water off. You just want to move it around a little so that you don't have what they call hard lines. They're soft. A way to lighten those up as well is to add a little bit of white. I use both acrylic and watercolor whites. I just do that. I don't have any right now. I'm not using them right now, but I do, and I have in quite a few of the tutorials. But so we just added some watercolor white to that. So this is how to make the really pretty little bay leaves. And they're just these shoots, these little pretty shaped leaves. Some darker than others, some light in areas, dark in areas, as I just should take some of that paint off, pull some of it out and move it around. Dab it in there, take some of it out again, and where I take it out, it's with a dry brush, I take it off, I'm going to add some yellow in there. And I'm not going to continue to explain. I'm going to just finish up the rest of the leaves here because they're all done the exact same way. So just hang in there and watch how we paint them, and zoom in, zoom out, speed up, slow down, whatever you got to do. And I'll see you when I'm finished. I'll talk again when I'm finished. I am just using water here to, I didn't finish this one, and I just went in with just water on my brush, and I'm just moving around the paint that's already there, you see? That went a lot lighter. I just came in, I took the paint off my brush, I'm drying the brush, and just moved and soaked it up. That's what it does. Take it off and do it again. And there we have the bay leaf. So we're done with that one. Now I think that the next one, I'm only going to do one more here in this video, and it's going to be chives. So we're going to get some nice light yellow, and I got to remember to replace my yellow at the end of this. So this is just kind of a thicker kind of, it just sort of, well, it's sort of just these stems. They are called stems. And put some green on there now. And then we're just kind of attaching these all to what this main kind of stem here with darker green. Gonna get some darker on there. These up here are deeper, you know, the bottoms have this yellowy, but the tops that they're gonna hook to the flower are a darker green. So just trying to get that into here. Is what I've got left on my palette here. It's just a bunch of them all attaching to the main line. To the main line. They're chives, and we all basically know what chives are. Now, as you just saw what I was doing there, I came up, hold on, we're going to mix this a little bit into the, with watery brush and no paint on it. This was tip down, flat, and then tip up to make that one there. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do that with right here, tip down, belly, and come up on the tip again. Make that in a few little areas here. Those ones that, you know, there's the shoot outs, they all shoot out all the time. And then again on the top of these are the pretty purpley flower, and I add some nice rose into there. It's just a, you know, well, it's kind of like this, like little, like you see me doing with the tip of this. clump of these little tiny, like lines. And as I explained in the other ones, when that happens, your plant lifespan is over. You can't, it's not going to produce any more. And a way to get around that, as I explained before as well, because I had so many herb gardens, it was so nice. I mean, not, major commercial, but I had outside my yard several long herb gardens, which I absolutely loved. And once they flower, the lifespan is over. So to get them to continue to shoot up, to continue to give you, I'm going to make these a little darker because these ones that come up to there are darker. To continue to give you the flower of the herb, you've got to keep pinching off the top, the very top. As long as you do that for the lifespan of that particular one, if I can talk this afternoon, you will continue to get the flowers. But once that flower, because every plant has a lifespan, right? Every flower, every plant, it has a lifespan, and you can keep that lifespan going for a degree of time. And then after a while, it's going to, it's going to flower. But in between, you can kind of just help it along by right at the tip before the flower comes. You pull off the very tip of it, the little flowery things, the baby ones that start to come out. You can take your finger and just kind of pick it right off. That'll keep, in this case, the chives, the onion parts that we eat. It'll keep them growing, keeps all the fruit parts, flowering parts of all the herbs growing, so that you have them for a long time. I had them for years. I had an oregano plant that was going on 6 years, and it was humongous and just continuing to flower. It was awesome. So this one was chive. This one was bay. And this one, of course, was dill. So now we have the basil, the thyme, and these three: chive, bay, and dill. So I hope you've had fun have fun doing this with me after, if you do it yourself. I hope you got some helpful tips. Check out my other tutorials as well. There's lots and lots of helpful tips and fun other videos and encouraging videos as well for everyone starting out, because we all start out from the beginning. And I like to give just every once in a while a nice encouraging word, because it helps. It really does help on this journey of watercolor. Watercolor is not the easiest medium in the world by any means to learn. So I did acrylic paints for almost 40 some odd years, and never thought I could do this when I was wrong and I listened to the wrong voice. So just check out those little tutorials that give you an encouraging word and go for it. Just do it, my friend. All right, so have a most wonderful rest of your day, and bye for now.